Doing? Hello, YouTube. How are you doing? Corinne Clapham, Intuitive Wellness Coach. Okay, so some of you may or may not know, I really enjoy analogies. And I just kind of notice them when I'm out in the world living this human experience. So I've talked about life's analogies when surfing, snowboarding, and skiing, and I'm going to talk about life's analogies with hockey now. As we know, it is hockey season. Is that what we call it? Hockey season? Let me just change. There we go. Anyways, it's like big games that are going on. Montreal, the Habs are playing. They're playing Tampa right now. It's kind of a big deal. I'm also in Montreal for it. I'm not in Montreal for the game. I just happen to be in Montreal, and it's there. And it's interesting because I'm not like a huge sports fan. Like I don't watch it really at home. I only really watch games if it's like down to the nitty gritty and it's big games and either a city or country I live in or I used to live in is playing or my background. By the way, England won the game a couple of days ago and they should be playing again soon. I am definitely rooting for England. My dad is from England. But it's interesting. I'm not like a huge sports fan, but I always end up in the cities where it's like the I don't know. Are they going for the Stanley Cup right now? God, I'm horrible at knowing this stuff. But anyways, it's like a big deal. That's all I know. And the same thing when Vancouver was doing amazing. Like we almost made it. Like Vancouver almost won. It was like that last game. And I was living in Vancouver at the time. I was living on Granville Street downtown. And that's when the big riots happened. And I guess they had a riot maybe last week in Montreal. I don't know what the outcome was last night because I was only out until the second period and then we came home and watched it. The Habs lost this game, but there's still hope. And there was cops everywhere. I mean, everywhere, every single block. There was cop cars. There was like, I mean, they were ready if something was going to happen. So I feel like people were probably on their best behavior last night. But nonetheless, so at one point I was in a bar last night watching the game. Hey, Charlene, how you doing? And it's really fascinating. Like in general, I find it very fascinating that we as humans get very excited about these things. And I'm not putting down sports before anybody gets all cray about this. I'm not putting it down, but I just find it very fascinating how my hair is still dripping. I'm sorry, in the shower. I guess I didn't dry it probably yet. But it's fascinating how we like have our favorite teams. And it's fascinating how we come together and like for a lot of people, it's something fun, right? You cheer for it. You're fun. It's this, it's that. For some people, they get really into it. And I can kind of see how people get really into it because I'm not even like a huge sports fan, but I can still really get into it. And when I see that, I'm like, wow. So like those really hardcore sports fans must really get into it. And I find it interesting how people even know what their favorite teams are. Like I'm always, and if you are a sports person, you have your favorite teams, like put it in the comments below. How do you determine who your favorite team is? Like, do you go by your favorite players? Or do you go, like, for example, for me, I go by, like, if I'm living in Toronto, then I root for Toronto. If I'm living in Vancouver, I root for Vancouver. If wherever I'm living at that time isn't playing, but somewhere that I used to live, I root for. If it's from my home city, Ottawa, I root for it because that's like your home city. You always gotta like represent and back up your your actual roots, right? And then if those aren't in, then quite honestly, I go based on either how the name sounds, like if it's like a fun name, or I go by what their outfits look like. So that's kind of how I figure out what team I like. And then of course, if like my background, like England or something like that is playing, I go for that. So I'm always curious how other people like what is your favorite team and how do you like, why is it your favorite team? I'm always fascinated about that. And then the other thing is, and I also find it very interesting because I used to think, many years ago, again, I didn't know too much about sports, but like I always thought if say hockey players were, and this goes for every sport, but I'm just using hockey as an example. I always thought like hockey players who were the Habs, Montreal. I thought all the players had to be from Montreal. And like the Senators, I thought all the players are originally from Ottawa. Like that's how I thought teams are based, but it actually isn't. It's like, I guess, whichever team has the most money to buy out the best players, I think is how it goes. I'm not sure. Again, please, if I'm saying something incorrect, please forgive me. But I know it's like all mixed. Like it's like you can have a Montreal team, but not everybody is from Montreal. It's like from people from all over. So I find that always really interesting. But anyways, so let's get to the analogies. I was sitting in the bar last night, and I really get into these sports when it's, like I said, down to like they're big games, but also I really enjoy it when I'm at a bar or it's a party. We have a big gathering, mostly because I really like the food too. I feel like beer and good food just goes hand in hand with sports, but I love the camaraderie. Did I say that word properly? But anyways, you know what I mean? I love the energy of everyone getting together. I love the excitement everybody has, especially when your team wins. It's like one of many amazing feelings in life. And what I observed in this bar is we have the screamers. Okay, we have the screamers, but they are the premature screamers. So what I mean by that is they are always the people that are like, ah, oh, ah, oh. Like they think they scored and then they didn't. And I was watching this, I'm like, why don't they just wait until it's like actually in the net and confirm and then go all crazy? But I feel like, because if we go by the saying that how we do one thing is how we do a lot of things, it's really interesting to observe a bar full of people because you can kind of tell a lot about someone's personality. And it was always like a select few who were doing that. And what I call them is the premature screamers, the premature celebrators. And maybe they do that in life. You know, maybe they're very optimistic. Maybe they're about to get a job or they're applying for a school, but they haven't heard yet, or they get a letter in the mail and they haven't even opened it to see if they got in or not yet, but they're already like, woo. Now, then there's the other people who like to wait before an emotion and reaction comes out. And I know for myself, using the example, way back in the day, so I did not finish high school. I did not complete it. Back in my day, we had grade 13 as well. I think I did up to middle grade 12 or something like that. I just didn't like school, high school. So I ended up going to college as a mature student, getting my equivalency. And at the same time, I also didn't know exactly what I wanted to study yet. So I was like, okay, I'll get my certificate, my equivalency, and it'll maybe I'll figure out what I want to do, what I want to study. And so I did my certificate, and then I figured out what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into film and television production, and I applied to 5 colleges, 3 universities, and I got one rejection letter after another. That was 8 schools who said no to me. Not good for the self-esteem, I can tell you that. But I mean, I'm okay with it now. But back then, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was now you can see why I'm not the premature screamer. I am the person like, okay, let's see. This goes in first, and then I will get excited. And so when I didn't get accepted to those schools at that time, I ended up doing my second year in general arts and science, and got my diploma in that. And so at that point, after that, I was like, I'm not going to bother applying to universities. I just didn't have the GPA for it. Like, I mean, listen, high school was not my thing. So the grades weren't really up there. I was pretty good in the arts, but like other stuff, math and all that, not my jam. So I decided to just apply to 5 colleges this time around. You have to submit a pretty significant portfolio for film and television production or anything in the arts. I don't know what it's like to apply for anything else for university, but anyways, in other industries, I mean, but you have to, I remember working very hard to compile my portfolio and everything. And I also had to get letters and this and that. So I had my politics teacher write up one of the letters. He's one of the best teachers I've ever had in my life, by the way. I wish I actually paid attention more in that class. So I just knew a little bit more about politics, but that's okay. We should put ourselves down for those things. But nonetheless, he was the most amazing teacher I've ever had so far in life, when it came to academics in school, for other reasons. Like just because I'm kind of going off track here now. And it's funny, as I said that, I'm looking over and there's train tracks. But I think it's just because all teachers care, I guess. But he just like really, really cared and really taught us to think out of the box. And he just had like a different kind of personality. And like, I don't know, there was just something about him that one of the best teachers I've ever had. Nonetheless, he wrote one of the letters for me. And then I remember I was getting one rejection letter again from these colleges. But this time I got on a wait list for a school in Thunder Bay, and then I got accepted into Sheridan. Now, I didn't really know these schools that well, to be honest. Like Ryerson and Humber were my top schools I wanted to get into. At that time, I was living in Ottawa, and I wanted to get out of there for years. And so school was kind of my ticket out. So I was just applying to every school that was outside of Ottawa. So I didn't really know much about some of these other colleges. I didn't know of Oakville. Like when I got accepted in it, I was like, well, where's Oakville? I literally thought it was a place with like tumbleweeds or something. Like it was in farmland. Like I didn't know where it was. I didn't know the reputation of Sheridan at that time. But I remember even getting that acceptance letter in it, and I was afraid to really tell too many people about it. And I didn't even tell my teacher, John, who had written the letter, John Shearer, because I was so nervous that maybe there was a mistake. Like I was like, maybe this is a mistake. And I don't want to get all excited and have everybody else get all excited. And then it turns out that maybe it was like an accidental letter. They sent the wrong one. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. My mind went into this weird space. And then eventually, like, I guess John heard me tell my friend, he's like, what? You didn't tell me? And so it goes to show you how some of us can be super optimistic right off the bat, which is good. And I think a lot of us are, but what happens is something happens in life that knocks us off a bit. And then we're too afraid to be optimistic because we associate it with that time. We're like, oh, that time I got really excited about something and I thought it was going to work and it didn't. It's very easy for people to close up, right? And close in because they want to avoid being blindsided. They want to avoid being rejected. And so check where you are on that spectrum. It's really interesting how certain situations in our life we can allow it to cause or have our reactions or the way we act in the present moment according to something in the past. But if we kind of took all that away and blanketed all that away and restarted fresh every moment, with that new fresh energy and open, then we would be different, right? A lot of people wouldn't be walking around close-hearted after a breakup or after something happened in a relationship or whatever the situation may be. And so I really invite you to see where you are in every moment. I wouldn't say every moment. That's probably like a high order right now, but just check in where you are in certain situations in life. And also see why is it you're like that. If you're finding yourself recluding a little bit, is that a word? Recluding? It is now. If you're finding yourself closing up a little bit, where is that coming from? And do you really want that past situation to navigate your present moment, which will also have the outcome of the future? It'll ripple out, right? So just checking in with that, having fun with that. I kind of went a little bit off the hockey analogy there, but it all correlates. And I also do want to say one other thing. I am so surprised they don't make the hockey puck like a fluorescent pink. Like, don't you find sometimes you're watching hockey and like, especially when there's all these guys crowding around and their sticks and their skis, or not skis, skates. It's like, where the heck is the puck? I think they should just make it fluorescent pink. Wouldn't it make it so much easier for everybody? I'm sure it'd make it easier for the players too. But anyways, that's just a thought that came through my head. I don't know. Is there any hockey players here? Would you like the puck to be fluorescent pink? Wouldn't that make it so much easier to just figure out where the heck it is? But anyways, nonetheless, I hope you're all enjoying this sports season. We got soccer going. We got or football. It's called football, depending where you live. And hockey. But yeah, much love, my friends. Take care. Keep hitting the buttons. Not going. All right, cheers.